So Discmania's new prototype MD5 comes out this Wednesday, and while the old MD5 was one of the more beloved mid-ranges in their lineup, Discmania themselves said that it wasn't quite what they or their pros wanted out of an overstable mid-range. So they redesigned this, retooled this, and made it exactly what they were wanting for their lineup. Let's take a look at it. So if you threw like the original MD5 from Discmania, you would know that it's basically like a flat top gator. Like I'm pretty sure it's straight up a gator from Innova. And the MD5 now is completely different. Like they kept the like small diameter of the disc, so it's not as super wide as normal mids like an MD3 or an MD1 type disc, but they took the bead completely off. So now the disc is like completely beaded and it's actually pretty sharp at the edge. It's not that blunt edge of like the Gator or old MD5. And I know that there's gonna be like a lot of people that look at it and are just like, that straight up looks like a Savior. And with them like using the similar process as a Trilogy, I bet you there's some people that are gonna be like, no, this is straight up that's just a Savior. First off, I wanna stop you right there and tell you, no, it's not. If you look at them side by side, it is very clear and very easy to tell that the MD5 is shallower, it's sharper on the edge, it's actually a little bit smaller in diameter, and it's a significantly faster disc. This is more of like a slow mid-range or an approach disc, and this is actually pretty dang fast for a mid-range. And you can feel it. You can feel that the Savior is more of like an approach style disc, and it feels like that in the hand. The MD5 feels fast and feels like you can absolutely rip on it and it can go pretty far, even for being a like overstable mid-range. So they changed up the MD5 a lot. Like the original one was like the Gator. I'm still not. Because the original one was like still pretty blunt. It was kind of slow and it wasn't like, it was pretty overstable, but it was mainly because it was so slow and short. But like Discmania in their Year of the Sword like production update, they talked about how the MD5 was never really exactly what they wanted in an overstable mid-range. And this is more of what the pros and the team over there in general wanted out of an overstable mid-range. So it is interesting to me because like the old MD5 was very popular. People loved it. It just wasn't a ton of them, but Discmania obviously like they wanted something completely different that Innova apparently just didn't really let them create. Probably because Innova doesn't really have much of anything in this slot because like the Gator is mainly their overstable mid-range. And the MD5 definitely fits into a very nice slot. Like it's definitely not as overstable as the Mutant. So if that's what you're wondering, it's not a Mutant. That is very overstable. It's more like a Justice overstability. But I kind of like it, and it has a completely different feel than the Mutant because the Mutant, it was too deep, it was too clunky in the hands for me, and to me, it was a little too overstable. So the MD5, I would say, is closer to like a faster zone or like a faster get freaky zone. Like it's a nice workable overstability. Like it'll fight winds. It's not gonna be like absolute meat hook Firebird. Like you might still need a Mutant for that if it gets like crazy windy. But honestly, like this might be the most you ever need for most people. Like even I think that this would be all I would need for up to like maybe 35-mile-per-hour winds. But then again, I don't carry like an overstable beefy cake mid-range in my bag normally. Compared to a Fugitive type disc, that's what I've thrown, this is a little bit less of a meat hook. Like the Fugitive or even this like Pursuit, I've been comparing it to this Pursuit by Legacy. These are really close to the Fugitive. It's also really close to the Birdie Disc Ultra. I think the Ultra is like a tweaked Pursuit, but that's neither here nor there. Those I would compare more closely to a faster like Crystal Zone. These I would compare to like a faster Crystal Flex Zone or Get Freaky Zone. Like those straighter, more workable zones that people love. That's what this is in a mid-range form, since the Zone is a true putter. But this thing goes far. Like it has a small diameter like you would think a like Gator, Zone, Savior, Culprit even type disc would have. So you would think that it's like a slower mid-range. That's not the case. This is a very fast mid-range. It goes very far down the fairways. It's just a nice workable overstability. Now I will note that I have a lighter one. It's like 173. I don't even know if you can see that. To be honest, I didn't even pay attention to the weight when I grabbed it. I didn't even notice that until like 5 minutes ago. So the heavier ones might be more overstable, but I would guess that even the heavier ones are more like this, like a very workable, overstable mid-range that fits into Discmania's lineup very well. I think this can complement a Mutant really well, but I also think that this could be a replacement for that slot, because a lot of people like me with small baby hands over here, the Mutant just doesn't feel great in the hand, and I personally don't have a ton of use for it. Like it definitely fits the shallower feel of closer to like a Justice. There's Anthony over there running for a disc. I don't know where he shanked it. With forehands, I don't know, like it might be because it's so shallow. Same thing with the Savior. The Savior versus like a Zone, I had a hard time forehanding it clean, and the Zone had a little bit more torque resistance on a forehand. I find that similar with this, not as much so, like this definitely still holds a lot better, but I feel like the Zone still forehands a little bit better, for me at least. That could be one, the depth of this could be an issue, and I don't have the cleanest of forehands. Being so shallow might have something to do with it. Also, I've been forehanding and throwing the Zone for about 10, 11 years now, so that could also be it. Like I'm just so used to forehanding the Zone that it's just, I can do it better than a lot of other discs. And while the old MD5 is gone forever, Discmania is finally free to do whatever they want with their molds, and in my opinion, they're killing it. These come out Wednesday, 10 a.m. Links in the description. That helps the channel out a ton. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.